This video is brought to you by Raycon. What's up, guys? Helen here to talk about your favorite brooding masked crusader. Yup, Batman's back, complete with a film noir-inspired aesthetic to go with all his emo feelings. Fittingly, the Batman is all about playing with lightness and darkness, both visually and thematically. Specifically, it's exploring which of Gotham's hidden truths are exposed to the light, and which remain shrouded in darkness and lies. So pull out those AA batteries and get your flashlight ready for this wisecrack quick take on the Batman. How much truth can one society handle? And, of course, spoilers ahead for the new Batman. But before we get into it, I want to tell you about this video's sponsor, Raycon. Raycon's everyday earbuds look sleek and bring high sound quality to everything I listen to, whether it's music, podcasts, or the haunted house sound effects I require to fall asleep at night. Plus, they're comfortable to wear thanks to optimized gel tips that adapt to the contours of my ears. This design helps them stay put no matter what, even if you're exercising, or, in my case, telling the Wisecrack team that I will not practice TikTok dances while the camera's rolling. Raycon's everyday earbuds offer 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life, so you can get through an entire workday of Zoom calls without worrying they'll cut out. And that's just one of the reasons they have more than 48,000 5-star reviews. Another reason? Raycon's everyday earbuds offer quality audio at half the price of other premium brands. Click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/wisecrack to get 15% off your purchase. That's buyraycon.com/wisecrack to get 15% off. Now, back to the show. Now, the Batman shows Gotham as a city where lies and concealment are so common, they're practically part of the infrastructure. On a most obvious level, there's Batman's steadfast refusal to reveal his identity to anyone, even to a fellow leather enthusiast.
Who are you under there?
But the shadowy edges of Gotham are brought into sharp focus by the film's also masked villain, the Riddler. He repeatedly states his grand project: to shine a light on all the city's lies. He's targeting the rich and powerful for their various deceits, which range from funding sketchy nightclubs to faking a giant drug bust. And the most egregious deceit is also the most widespread. The city's elite have straight up looted the Gotham Renewal Fund, which the Wayne family established to help clean up the town. And by the time we get to the film's final big reveal, that a mafia-esque kingpin is puppeteering Gotham's entire government, it's clear that these widely accepted lies go all the way to the top. All this deceit from the city's rich and powerful made us think of Plato's concept of the noble lie, as explored in a controversial paragraph of his book, The Republic. He explains that rulers will need a throng of lies and deceptions for the benefits of the ruled. Basically, a noble lie is an untruth that a society's leaders use to persuade their citizens to fall into line, all in the name of keeping their society functioning. A common noble lie is that a given country's land inherently belongs to its people, even if that land was actually stolen. A simple way of thinking of a noble lie is the way parents might be dishonest with their child for their own good. Plato basically thought that such lies could be justified if they served moral ends and means. Modern philosophers like Leo Strauss have endorsed noble lies as necessary for social cohesion. It's good to keep people united in their ideology, even if that ideology is falsely constructed. And we see a pretty perverted version of the noble lie in The Batman, where a government filled with apparently good, honest leaders is revealed to be a giant masquerade. These leaders have long pretended to be genuinely invested in Gotham's renewal, when, in actuality, the Wayne funds were treated as a cash grab for corruption. The not-so-noble lie, that Thomas Wayne's funds are being used to help the city flourish, couldn't be further from the truth. Gotham's politicians get to blame the city's criminal underworld for all the crime and economic problems, while all the while working alongside those very criminals to ensure that they're both making money hand over fist. And it's effective. The smoke and mirrors of the Gotham Renewal Project and the lingering specter of the criminal underworld have kept the people distracted, while the select few continue to enjoy their money and power. The lie has arguably fostered social cohesion, although probably not as effectively as, say, actually investing in your city's infrastructure and social services, but hey, I digress. And throughout the movie, we see more noble lies, but on a smaller scale. For example, we learn that Batman's dad went to great lengths to maintain his wife's reputation. Eventually, this led him to send a seedy crime boss to intimidate an investigative reporter who was going to publish a story about the less savory details of his wife's personal history. As usually happens when you hire your local crime boss for a freelance gig, this resulted in murder. All of which is sounding not super noble. In tandem with this revelation, we also see that Batman's vision of his father as the ultimate pinnacle of human goodness has too been a noble lie. Alfred admits that he didn't tell Batman the truth about his father because he knew little Bruce desperately needed to believe in his dad's unimpeachable greatness. Here, it's worth noting a choice that strikes us as the movie's biggest shortcoming: its refusal to double down on sullying the image of Thomas Wayne. See, at first, Batman thinks that his dad intended to have the reporter killed, a horrifying prospect that would tarnish Thomas's legacy. However, he quickly learns that all Thomas wanted to do was scare the reporter, rather than kill him, all in the name of protecting his wife. What's more, Thomas was racked with guilt in the aftermath of the murder. In fact, Alfred even says that Thomas was planning to go to the police, and that this may have been the reason he himself was killed. This felt like a bit of a cop-out and a missed opportunity to really complicate the Wayne legacy in an interesting way. Importantly, making Thomas Wayne a capital B bad guy would have created some nice mirroring in the two threads of the plot. We'd have to watch Batman personally reckon with the same thing the city of Gotham is on a larger scale. The fact that the people they admired most were actually super sus and blatantly immoral. Instead, it's like everybody else got Santa spoiled for them, while Batman just found out that Santa made one really bad choice in the 80s. So what happens when noble lies become intrinsic to a given society's functioning? Kind of like your increasingly elaborate explanation about why you got home late from school, which had nothing at all to do with the 8 bong rips at Corey's house. Lies tend to beget more lies. A lie then about the city's biggest drug bust then begets another lie, that the busted drug ring has been shut down, when, in actuality, it's continued to flourish by bribing public officials. And as the Riddler reveals the total dishonesty of each public figure, he starts to show how this cycle of deceit has eaten away at the foundation of Gotham's civil society. By the end of the film, we learned that just about every powerful person employed by the city of Gotham has accommodated the lies and corruption necessary to maintain their power. So, obviously, the rich and influential are super duper guilty, although certainly not deserving of having their faces devoured by rats. But by the end, the Riddler becomes even more radical, suggesting that all of Gotham is culpable for blindly accepting the lies fed to them by politicians, and thus are complicit in the creation of this deceitful society. The film itself reflects some sense of communal responsibility, showing the solemn beginning of a funeral for the mayor, where presumably nobody was planning to mention those leaked photos of him with a young woman who had been battered. But when Riddler escalates his attack to target the entire city of Gotham, things start feeling a little religious, and not just because the song Ave Maria pops up at least twice in the film. See, by the Riddler's estimation, the sins of the city's leaders, and consequently its people, are too heinous for Gotham society to ever be redeemed. That's why he decides to flood the whole place, ironically by destroying some of the city's actually functional infrastructure. This can't help but make us think of the Old Testament God and the whole flooding the goddamn world because people were behaving immorally thing. As if it wasn't harsh enough, God additionally rained burning sulfur on the city of Sodom, specifically for the reason the Riddler floods Gotham. It was a corrupt place that failed to use its resources to take care of its most vulnerable citizens. These evocations are anything but subtle, and don't even get us started on the whole sins of the father theme throughout the movie too. But back to the Riddler. He's a bad guy for a reason. Where he sees an unredeemable society, or an unredeemable family, Batman sees something else entirely. To understand, let's track Batman's personal arc in the film. He starts off really stoked on the idea of vengeance, believing that the best way to keep people safe is by A, giving them something to fear, and B, making sure people are held accountable for their actions with violence. He might not be drowning an entire city, but this approach is not unlike the Riddler's Old Testament vibes. But throughout the film, this approach to making society a better place is called into question, not the least of which when the Riddler tells Batman that he has been an essential player in the villain's deranged plot, and even says that they are basically teammates. But the validity of vengeance as a guiding moral compass is called into question most explicitly when Batman faces off against the Riddler's snipers, who have been shooting into a crowd. One of the snipers, when asked his name, replies, "Vengeance," thus mirroring Batman's ideology back at him. Obviously, sharing the same mantra as a bananas group of snipers isn't a good look, so it's no surprise that our hero ultimately settles on a different view. He decides that rather than needing someone to fear, the people of Gotham really need someone to believe in, someone to inspire hope. And as he saves people from the Riddler's giant flood, Batman becomes that guy. In the process, he also reads kind of like a Jesus figure to the Riddler's Old Testament God, the brave guy willing to make enormous sacrifices, and even risk death in order to redeem a world filled with sinners. Someone who wants justice more than he does vengeance.
The answer's justice.
But what do you guys think? Can noble lies be a justifiable way to keep any given society humming along? Would you rather not know just how deeply corrupt the rich and powerful are? Let us know in the comments. Big old thanks to our patrons for all your support, and be sure to check out our podcast. Punch that subscribe button like it's a corrupt civil servant profiteering off a local drug crisis, and don't forget to ring that bell. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.